make a donation to one of the Cash App or one of the apps above my head, Venmo or Cash App, for a 3-card reading. Otherwise, go to backporchmagic.com. Yeah, it's up there. You don't have to donate there. You can if you want to, or check out the Etsy page with the merch. There's an oracle deck. There's the tarot deck that Taryn and Kat designed, and a bunch of other stuff. I think there's a bunch of homemade wands and some herbal blends and candles. So go check it out. How's everybody doing on this fine Tuesday? It's a little warm here. Had all the windows closed in the house, so it's a little warm in the house. A little tired today. Storm's keeping me up. Trying to get some projects done, sewing projects done for an 18th century event I'm going to this weekend. Nothing pretty, unfortunately, but that's okay. What I will be sewing for, which is kind of exciting, is Taryn, Kat, and I will be at the Central New York inaugural Witches of Central New York inaugural Witches Ball up in Syracuse, which is the Saturday before Halloween, October 30th. I'm not sure how many tickets are available. They had some tickets that were tiered. Tiered expense-wise. I think the general admission tickets were $70, but it looks like it's going to be a fun time. And the theme is 20s spiritualism. I am super excited about this because I love the 20s. Like, it's just so fashion-wise, it's kind of real 20s is kind of ugly. Like, the shape is ugly, but the decoration is just incredible. And I don't know, it's like fun and weird and cool. And Haley, yes, oh my goodness, happy Tuesday. And yes, I can certainly do a reading for you. I was just doing the whole promo blather for backporchmagic.com, and we're going to be at this Witches Ball at the end of next month, and I'm going to make a costume, and I am hella excited. So, alrighty, 3 cards for Haley. One more shuffle. 2, 3. Alrighty. This is a weird one. Okay. Well, I feel like I get a lot of weird ones for you, Haley. So we start out with the Queen of Discs. And then the last card is the Queen of Cups. And the middle card is the Fool. So the Fool is in the middle of these 2 queens. Queen of Cups and Queen of Discs. So I get the feeling that maybe you're the one in the middle right now of perhaps a disagreement or a miscommunication, or I don't know. I feel like it's a disagreement. It's like 2 other people in your life who aren't quite getting along or meshing up, or you're kind of their go-between, and it feels kind of annoying, maybe. Like, you're just like, hey guys, we're all friends here. Let's, just enjoy life together. And this one's just kind of being like snippy for, she's too practical for her own good. And then this one is just too emotional for her own good. Otherwise, it could also be a choice between 2 paths. Like, you don't know where to start, whether you want to be the practical earth mama, with your garden in the backyard and your little jar of money, or the emotional healer type, the one who bakes cookies and lends a friendly ear. That's the 2 interpretations I get out of those 3 cards for you. I hope that helps. A lot of times when I read for folks, I get hella confused. It's not because I don't know what the cards are saying. It's just I don't have the context. And I don't necessarily need the context. As long as the people I'm reading for understand what I'm talking about, then that's great. Because when I read, it's not for me. It's for you. And if any other tarot card reader tells you otherwise, they're wrong. I don't think any tarot card reader would say that, though. All right, anybody else? Kind of a quiet night tonight. All right, you are welcome, Haley. I'm glad I could help. So I was blathering on about Taryn, Mama Cat, and I being at the Witches Ball, and I'm kind of like, I'm excited because it's 20s. And I have a pattern. You know, it's funny. I actually made a 20s dress. And it's funny when I think about it. It was about 10. It was 10 years ago now I think about it. I don't have it anymore, but I did use a like a 1928 draft, but I didn't like the skirt that came with it. So I kind of made it more like a 1924 skirt the way I draped it. And well, I probably fitted it because my butt is bigger than about the same size as it was then. But I ended up getting rid of it a few years ago because I wasn't happy with the construction and needed some fixing because I didn't really know what I was doing. Now I kind of wish I had it. It would be like, oh, whatever. But I still I'm a better sewist now than I was then, and I want to make like the proper version of the 1928 magic dance frock. But then again, I also have like this pattern for an early 20s. Not that you really need patterns for 20s stuff, like a pattern for an early 20s evening gown. It's just kind of, I don't know, has floaty things and floaty sleeves. And my imagination is running rampant, though I have some 18th century stuff that I got to finish first for this weekend. And before I allow myself to go into 20s, but I'm also scared, like I have a tendency, and if you're a sewist or you're interested in like cosplay or historical costuming or anything like that, even living history like I am, you get crippled by costuming ADD or CAD as they call it, where it's just like sometimes, especially if you actually do have ADHD, you get like, hey, I want to do all the things. Like, I want to do all these periods, but which one do I do first? And you have to narrow it down. And it really helps if you actually have something planned to do, because then you have like a goal and a deadline to work towards. If you don't, it's really hard to pin that ish down. And I know that because I started some 20 sets of underwear, which I think half of them are gone because a cat peed on them. And it got moldy. Cats. Anyway, I'm blathering on about 1920s because that's what Taryn, Mama Cat, and I are going to be dressing up for the Witches Ball on October 30th in Syracuse, which we will be there. Hi, Rebecca. Hello. I can certainly give you a 3-card reading. It's a bit of a slow night. So, Haley, yes, awesome. I'm glad somebody's listening to me go on and on about like my nonsense. All right, Rebecca, I will do a 3-card reading. Just bear with me, shuffle up a little bit. Okay. Okay. So 4 cards came out with that, so I'm going to read them anyway. Alrighty. Ooh, this is actually really, it's kind of a nice read, though there's a bit of caution. Oh, awesome. Yay. Okay. I'm glad that somebody was listening. I just felt like I don't mind that I was talking to myself because it's stuff I love. But all right, Rebecca, back to you. Okay, so this is actually kind of a nice read. I think there's a little bit of caution here, but I don't think it's that terrible. But we start out with the Princess of Wands. And then the next card is the Star. And then we finish up with the Wheel of Fortune and the 3 of Cups. So the Princess of Wands is all about like kind of like letting go and kind of going with the flow, letting go of your fears. She is also about like, she's sometimes considered like the like more career oriented as opposed to home and traditional oriented. Like a Princess of Earth or Princess of Discs is considered kind of like she's a more traditional feminine character, whereas this is more of a career oriented person. But it's all like, that's kind of some of the meanings for it, but I kind of feel like this is all about like letting go and kind of going with the flow, letting go of the things that you're afraid of, and just kind of going with it. And then the second card we have here is a star, and that's just saying like there is hope for the future. Like look ahead, like you have connection above and below. You have 2 cups and they're overflowing. Your cup runneth over, and she's in front of this big moon and this wonderful sparkly star. I love this card. This card is just so beautiful, and I don't know, she's also going with the flow, but in a different way. Whereas like the Princess of Wands is in movement. She's kind of just sitting still and letting the emotions flow through her, but also she's looking to the future. Just remember that there is hope for the future. Okay, and I think I'm going to draw a clarifier of this. We're kind of having a slow night, so, but this Three of Cups and the Wheel of Fortune, like the Three of Cups is really nice because this is all about time with your friends, your female friends, generally speaking. Supportive friendships, just having the good, it's also like having good times at the club kind of too. But the Wheel of Fortune is where I said that there's a bit of a caution in there. It's not necessarily bad. The Wheel of Fortune's kind of a neutral. It's kind of like, but know that it's in charge of your fate. So whatever you put into this friendship, and you know, whatever time you spend with these friendships, like what goes in is what's going to come out of it again. Like what you do is going to come back on you. So that's why I kind of need a clarifier, because I need to know a little bit more of that so that maybe I can explain it a bit better. I actually think whatever it is, it's a positive, because this is the Six of Swords. This kind of speaks of like maybe taking a bit of a gamble and taking a trip somewhere with these said friends, getting a little bit of an escapism. And it just, maybe that's something that you're not used to doing, but it is saying like kind of, it's not throwing caution to the wind. It's more like taking a chance on something, taking a chance with these friends, whether they're old friends or new friends. So go out and like relax a little bit and have some fun, basically. Like it's okay. All right. Hi, Marianne. I can certainly give you a reading. All right. And then I'll probably start blathering on about 1920s fashion. Because if you missed it, I was going on that Tara and Kat and I, as Back Porch Magic, will be at the CNY, I think it's the Pagan. I gotta remember this stuff before I jump on lives. Well, basically, it's their inaugural Witches Ball in Syracuse on October 30th. And the theme is 20s spiritualism, and I am all for it. Okay, but you're reading. I'm going to draw a clarifier for the first card because I need a little. Didn't help me much, but I'm just going to go with it. Okay, so the first card that came out was the Seven of Cups. And when I asked for a clarifier, it was the Hierophant. Okay, and I'll just lay the cards out first. The second card we get is the Lovers. And the third card is the Empress. So sometimes when I read, I get like a bunch of different readings at once. I'm going to tell you the first impressions that I got. Seven of Cups, a lot of choices, perhaps even like choice overload. I don't know how long you've been watching, but I was talking about costuming ADD. That's kind of like the same feeling where you're like, oh God, there's so many choices. There's so many things I can do. Which one can I pick? And then you just kind of overwhelm yourself with the choices. And I need to know more about that. And it says the Hierophant, which the Hierophant's about community and traditional like family structures, church, schools, like traditional schools, any kind of bureaucratic structure. So maybe there's a choice of jobs, a choice of schools or courses, or it might even be like someone giving you a choice of like, what path do you want to take? I think it's more of a path of spiritual, religious study. It could even be traditional school. It just seems like there's a lot of choices for you right now. It could even be a partner, but who knows? Because the Lovers is all, it's not just about love and relationships. A lot of times it is. And it's mostly about choices. And ultimately, out of all these options that you have, there's a choice to be made. And it has to be the right choice. And it might even be the choice that you weren't expecting or you didn't put too much stock in. But here we have the Empress. So the Empress is all about, it's a lot of different things. This is the mother, this is being a mother, this is the traditional, like, external feminine, the feminine that we all see in TV shows, like 1950s TV shows, but it's not that stifling. It's nurturing, it's caring, it's the relationships that we have with our mothers and other older females that take care of us, more caretakey, less advisey. So I'm wondering ultimately if you end up choosing your path if you are a mother as a mother rather than making other choices, or if this is a choice that you want to make, whether it's a feminine, traditional feminine, like a nurturing career path, or the person that is kind of more feminine or nurturing. But the other interpretation I get out of these three cards is almost like a joining Lover's card in the middle between like a Hierophant, a traditional kind of person, teacher, and yourself as a woman. But since the Empress isn't facing the Lover's card, maybe you're not so sure if you want to do this. But do know that there's something in the Lover's card. If you end up walking away from the big option that has suddenly kind of rocked your world, but it just seems like maybe it's too much. If you walk away from these big things that kind of change your life or look like they would change your life, you could end up regretting that. So it's just kind of saying, you have a lot of options right now. You got a lot of choices. You know, just be sure to pick the right one. The one that you feel that you love the most and feel most passionate about. Okay. Well, that was pretty in depth. All right. Oh, hello, Savannah. Oh, yes. Thank you. The Baltism. We'll probably tell you all about it. I wonder if we're even going to do a live stream. I don't know. We haven't talked about it. We got a month and a half. Oh, you're welcome. I hope that helps. Like I said, sometimes they don't make sense to me, but they're not supposed to make sense to me as long as they make sense to you. Okay, Savannah, it is your turn. I'm going to draw you 3 cards. Okay. Do a little bit of a shuffle. I'll do one more shuffle. I just pull them out of the middle anyway. All right. Wherever they decide they want to come out. Sometimes they jump out. All right. Ooh, this is another nice read. Okay. So we start out with the 6 of Cups. And then we have the Star, which I don't know if you were watching early, came up for somebody else's reading. And the Magus, or Magician, which tends to be more of a neutral card, but it's still good, like in the context of these other cards that have come out. Okay, so the 6 of Cups is all about like pleasure and enjoyment, but also nostalgia and kind of like hearkening back to the past, but in a good way, a positive way, like almost like going back to the things that made you happy in childhood, or the friends that made you happy in childhood, like the relationships, the connections. It could even be something like your favorite brand of cookies that you haven't had in a long time. Connecting with an old friend, connecting with your past, but also deriving enjoyment. Like the Thoth meaning of this card has a lot to do with like actual pleasures, like sensual pleasures. And then we have the Star here, which again is all about hope and hope for the future. And it's like saying that there are things to look forward to, like good things might not be right around the corner, but they are coming. Just keep looking ahead, keep striving, keep moving forward. And the last card being the Magician, the Magus, is a very active card. This is a guy or a person, like it's traditionally just considered a hermaphrodite or androgynous person, neither male nor female or both. So they are a master. They are a magician. They have all these things, these tools at their disposal, and they know how to use them. So perhaps like you've been in a funk or maybe in the past, and maybe something has kind of pulled you out of that funk, something from your past that just brought some kind of joy or helped remind you of something that you had forgotten about that feels good. And it's kind of giving you hope for the future. And now you feel like motivated to do stuff again. Like that would be the simplest explanation of this thing. It could also mean something from your past, a dream from your past. You're now thinking about it as like, is this the future? Could I do this? And then like actually working on it. So if that's like something that you're thinking about, definitely work on it. Like you already know, you already have the tools at your disposal. You already have the skills. Like you can do this, like whatever it is, like just keep moving forward. All right. Anyone else? Hope that helped, Savannah. Anybody else this evening? So yeah, like, I don't know, this ball is, I'm so excited about this ball. And like, tell you what, there's actually like mildly gothy like things in fashion. Well, I mean, come on, look at Theda Bara. From like the teens and into like the 20s a little bit. Like early 20s is so like weird and flowy and boxy. Some things are just downright weird. It was like such a huge departure from other eras in fashion, like especially like the last 100 years have been like pretty heavy corsets. Maybe not so much waist shaping, but definitely like body shaping. And the 20s kind of made everything free and flowy and easy to create because clothes were less fitted. But some of the stuff was downright ugly. Like if you saw like real 20s dresses on humans, you're like, wow, that makes you look fat. But anyway, or just big and boxy. But because of the boxy silhouette, you could decorate it like crazy. Anyway, so the gothy things, there's actually like embroidery patterns that were popular in the late 19 teens that were like spider webs. There was even lace. I knew, I don't know her personally. She lives in New Zealand. A historical costumer who's like relatively famous in that world. The Dreamstess, Lamomi Oaks, who made a dress, a teen's dress out of like this silver lace that she found in what's called an op shop, which is basically a thrift store, that was roses and spider webs, silver lace from like the early 20th century. And she made part of an evening gown with it. And it is like incredible. And the fact that there's like roses and spider webs in fashion, like, and it not from the last 30 years is pretty awesome. So, and there's embroidery patterns because the spiderweb motif was apparently pretty popular in the late 19 teens, around 1919. So who knows? I might incorporate that in. Embroidery can be time consuming though. All right. Anybody else want a reading? Yes, no, maybe. Please shut me up. I'll keep talking about historic fashion till the cows come home. Oh, I got a car popping out. Okay. I'll read this card that popped out because I feel like it's for whoever's watching, and it might even be for me because I have such a hard time finishing my costuming projects because I get distracted. And we have the 7 of Wands here, which is saying like, go forth and just do it. Like, it's not just do it. It's more than that. It's feel the fear and do it anyway. Like, even if you don't think you're going to win, just like drop that extra log on the fire. Okay, because like here we have the a singular wand on top of these 6 that are kind of like on a grid. Like if you know this deck at all, the card before it looks almost exactly like this, except it doesn't have this. It's the 6, so it only has the 6 in the background, and it's a lighter purple. Well, this is almost like you're dropping like an Ace of Wands on your victory and turning it into valor, because it's, rather than being like, yeah, we made it, it's more like, okay, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to go, we're going to win. So this might be advice for me to just like don't be afraid of what I do and just do it. Or it could be advice for you, whoever's watching, to like, you know, move forward and do something. Hello, Sedant. Would you like a card reading? I forgot to state this morning or at the beginning of this video that if anybody wants a reading, just ask for it, because otherwise I just think you're saying hi. But it's a slow night, so I'm going to read for Sedant. Just going to pull out 3 cards and tell you what I see. Ooh, okay. So the card that comes up in the middle is the Magus, the Dark Magus. And on one side we have the Prince of Cups. And on the other side we have the 7 of Wands. Or, pardon me, not 7 of Wands, 7 of Swords, which is kind of the opposite of the 7 of Wands. This is the more like, I can't do it. I can't move forward. Why am I even bothering? All these things are stupid. And the Prince of Cups is kind of like, thought he was in it for the emotional satisfaction, but is really kind of just like disappointed or distracted by intellectual pursuits. And in the middle we have the dark, what I call, my deck has 3 Maguses or magicians, and this one's the Dark Magus, and it's just kind of like all the Maguses, all the magicians are masters of their craft. But this one, I call him, he's dark. I mean, he looks dark. He's kind of tends to be a little bit more of the trickster than the other 2. So I don't know what's going on in your life, but it just doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like things are quite happy. They're not where, you're not where you thought you would be. You have all this skill and this mastery, but it's just not whatever you do for a living. You thought you'd have more, there'd be more passion involved, but instead you end up doing things that are not speaking to your passion. And it just feels like life is tough and useless, or not useless, but just it's tough right now, and it feels like it's not going to get better. So maybe you're kind of resorting to like almost like subterfuge, and I don't want to say trickery, that's not the right word. It's more like almost like being snippy. Like when you know the people around you aren't as smart as you or as good as you kind of resort to like underhanded tactics or screwing with people, so to speak. Maybe someone is screwing with you. I'm confused too. I don't know. I'm reading for you. Let me draw one more card to see if I can kind of sum this up for you as best I can. Okay. Okay. All right. So everything I was reading was kind of like, it just didn't feel that great. So this is the 6 of Cups. The 6 of Cups is encouraging you to find, like, talk to an old friend. You remember what you used to do that was enjoyable. Find that. Go back to that. Yeah. Where does it end? Well, I saw that. I feel like, where does it end? And 2 cards popped out. So I'm going to read those, and then I got to move on to Maria Pia. It will end. The 9 of Wands is saying, like, you have enough energy to get through this time. Like, traditionally, well, the traditional card shows a man, like a soldier, standing with a wand with the other wands, and he's ready to do one more battle. So it will end, and you will get through it. And when it'll end, it'll just be like, phew, like the rainbows come out and the energy is back. And it's like, whoa, it's over. Thank God. Or whatever you praise. So, all right, well, good luck dude. I feel like you're a dude. So that's what I got for you. And try and find something that you used to do before things started feeling shitty to kind of help you enjoy life. All right. Hello, Maria Pia. That's right. Maria Pia. That's a very pious name. All right. Let me draw 3 cards for you. You are welcome, Siddhant. Okay, so we start out with the Moon is the first card that came out. We have the Princess of Wands. And then the Queen of Discs. So, sometimes I see the cards in kind of like different configurations. So I'm going to start out with the first one that I see. So we start out with the Moon, and the Moon is kind of about like a very emotional time, maybe a bit stressful, maybe a bit confusing. But I think that is largely, if it's not coming to an end, it should be coming to an end soon, because the next card is the Princess of Wands, which is all, she's about letting go of her fears and just kind of letting go, leaving a situation, escaping, realizing that there's nothing holding her back. And the final card being the Queen of Discs is kind of like she's safe in her oasis and she's looking out on the desert. And this is like, could be you, like an oasis, like she has her horns, they're like, she has antenna, but then she has like long horns that are kind of like antenna. It's like you get more growth out of this situation that you've just left and more perception, but also you realize like you're safe now. So I still get this, like, she's the card I kind of fall on the most, this Princess of Wands, this letting go of fears and just kind of going with the flow. Yes, discs are pentacles. They are pentacles. Discs, pentacles, pentagrams, coins are sometimes what they call wands. Wands are staves, and she's the Princess of Wands, which equivocates to page in other decks. So she's all about kind of like letting go and not being afraid anymore, going with the flow, but it's more of a different flow. It's not like the flow of water. It's like the flow of fire, like the flow of energy, like passion. Yeah, and the Queen of Discs is all about, like, it's not, I wouldn't say new beginnings. It's like kind of establishing your own little space and being in charge of it, but also she's in an oasis. So I kind of looked at these cards in the progression that they were like a kind of a dark and scary and confusing time, and that is the Moon. Letting go of fears, kind of a leaving the situation, moving forward, and then being safe in your oasis. So, all right, I hope that helps. Anybody else? I think I'm gonna hop off in a minute. It's been a bit of a slow night, because then I'll just keep talking about 1920s clothes. And really, folks, like, if you look at real 20s stuff, it is actually kind of like, to our modern eyes, 20s fashion is kind of ugly. But it's so weird. Oh, okay. You're welcome. You know, and that could be a scary and confusing time, especially during a pandemic. You know, so trying to figure that stuff out. All right, folks. Well, it's really great to read for y'all. I'm going to turn in, and I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday. I will be here next Tuesday for backporchmagic.com every 7 p.m. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, unless I otherwise note, which I usually say in like the video from the previous week, or I'll have them announce it on the page whether or not I'm available. But everything should be fine. Well, this is the last card that popped out, so I feel like this is parting advice for you all. Like, this is the Strength card. Like, go out there and just enjoy life, enjoy being alive, find your strengths, and everybody have a good night.